Hey.
Hello. Welcome to the show. This is Beyond the Basement, the complete Attack on Titan podcast. And it gets more complete every week. And it will be extra complete this week because we're doing 2 episodes live tonight. If you're not familiar with us, you don't know us, I'm one of your hosts. They call me Eric. This lady.
My name is Rachel.
And this bro.
I am Peter.
You could have made up a really good fake name. If this is somebody's first episode, they would have just bought it like hook, line, and sinker.
Sharkface.
Yeah.
My name is Princess Kumquat. I'm just kidding.
That was a weird one to choose. Okay, well, at any rate, we are on episode 73.
Tiny orange.
Otherwise known as season 4, episode 14. And for most of you, you will know that this episode was delayed a week. So, as a little bit of a preface, so people know what we're doing here, we have not watched the next episode. Even though they both got released today, we are doing this podcast live. For those of you who don't watch us live, you can find us on twitch.tv/beyondthebasementpodcast. Come join us 5 o'clock on Sunday nights. Okay, that said, this week, 2 episodes launched. We're doing them one at a time. So we're doing doubleheader tonight, going extra long just for you guys. But like I said, we've only watched this episode, episode 73. So all of our predictions, all of our whatever is authentic. We've asked the chat.
We're about to say some stuff that probably is not true. We're going to find out in an hour.
Yeah,
an hour whether or not it was right.
Yeah.
But we're asking the chat to keep spoilers mum for this part so we don't accidentally see something and spoil ourselves. So with that in mind, like I said, this is episode 73. This one's called Savagery. And before we get into the recap,
It's very savage.
I think we have somebody that we want to say a hearty thank you to real quick. Take it away.
We sure do, Eric.
Tell me about him.
You know that thing that you ride when you go to a nerd convention?
I don't.
It's called a Segway.
Oh, yeah, Segway.
You know, you ride a Segway actually anytime you're in a new city and you're there as a tourist, or at least you should. I'm not kidding. Actually, I did a Segway tour in Madrid. I'm not kidding. One of the coolest things I've ever done. I had a good tour guide. It was awesome.
Yeah, so Becca and I did a Segway tour in Portland.
Where we're from.
But it was just let's do a fun thing for her birthday, and we got a Groupon for it. And we got on it, and we drive around, and a bunch of people called us privileged. It was very funny. Because 2 young kids bought a Groupon, put their money together, bought a Groupon, and we're privileged.
Wow.
People are mean.
It was fun. Yeah, people are mean. Sorry. Okay. All right.
Go ahead.
What do you get when you want to get sponsored and you plant pod kernels?
I don't know.
Pod corn?
Today's episode of Beyond the Basement Podcast is sponsored by podcorn.com.
You know, I could really go for some podcorn right now.
Friends, lend me your ears. Podcorn is an amazing sponsorship opportunity that connects podcasters with all sorts of spectacular sponsors. If you're like us and just started a podcast, you might be just as lost as we were, trying to figure out the best ways to find sponsors who want to sponsor new shows.
It can be awfully hard to do.
But once we discovered podcorn.com, it was all buttery smooth like buttery corn on the cob on the 4th of July. They make it so easy that even a couple of corny dad jokers like us can figure it out. Podcorn is really shucking the competition by eliminating the middleman and by doing all the hard work of bringing together up-and-coming podcasters with great sponsors. Once you sign up, you can scroll through a whole list of companies that want to get their product out to an audience like yours or ours. Find a sponsor you like and select from options like host-read ads, interview segments, topical discussions, and ridiculous over-the-top pun-filled ads, and more. Then shoot your shot and begin to collaborate with the company on an ad that fits your style. Podcorn's mission is to give podcasters transparency, creative freedom, and full control of how and when to monetize. Now, I don't want to sound like a stalker here, but we will be following Podcorn very, very closely. True salute to Podcorn for sponsoring this episode and joining the squad. And you can explore sponsorship opportunities and start monetizing your podcast by signing up here at podcorn.com/podcasters.
We have a very special sponsor. Is it going to be this episode? Or?
It is this episode.
Okay, we have a very special sponsor coming up in just a second. I'm actually really excited
One
about.
of the squad.
I'm also excited.
Yeah,
about
one of the
that.
actual.
We're all excited, I think.
One of our crew. Okay, so let me do a quick recap here for those of you who are listening after the fact. This is the episode where it recaps Eren jumping, walking in on Mikasa and Armin and Gabi at the table. What a weird convergence. Sorry, I'm still it's been weeks now, and I'm still weirded out by all these characters came together in the same room at the same time. So Eren basically comes in and is a complete jerk to Armin and Mikasa. They have this whole conversation in which he reveals that he says, according to him, he's on his own free will and yet somehow at the same time, Armin's being controlled by, to a degree, by the memories of Bertholdt, and Mikasa's being controlled by her Ackermann blood. So they kind of get in a fight. Eren beats the crap out of Armin. He says he hates Mikasa. It's the most merciless emotional
It's really
trauma.
horrible.
It's really, that was hard to watch. In the next scene, we move on to Levi. We get a little bit of recap here as well. He says, who we should have eaten, who we should have fed, somebody to was Zeke. And he's like, all right, well, that's the new plan. When Pixis gets here, remember, he doesn't know all of what's about the coup and stuff quite yet. I don't think he even knows. Well, he knows Eren's escaped, right?
Yeah, he just found out.
Yeah. He doesn't necessarily know all of what they've done at that, I would suppose. At any rate, he says we should give the beast titan to the Jeagerists and so on and so forth. And he jumps down and kind of has a short conversation with Zeke. And as soon as he goes to walk away, Zeke runs away. He has a nerdy run. Maybe that's on purpose.
He really does.
He looks dorky.
It's like, if you're trying to get me to like this guy at all, just the way he runs is a major put off.
Indeed. So Levi has just said that he has plans to kill him. We don't know if he's heard that or not, but you can assume it's true. So Zeke runs out of the forest, does his yell thing, and as we predicted, they all turn into Titans. There's about 30 soldiers around. They all turn into Titans, and Zeke is running off doing what every good villain. This is how you know Zeke's a villain, because as he's running off, he's describing his evil plan. He's monologuing
it's
to
true.
no one,
Me,
just the Titans that are there with him. So he's running off, and Levi shows back up. And we get another. Who knew it could be so satisfying? We get another Beast Titan versus Levi round 2. It goes.
We're at technically round 3.
Round 3,
the official round 2.
Official round 2, but yeah. Anyway, Levi wins. In case you're wondering, he does. He does.
We think.
So we think, yeah. So Levi takes that fight. And then we get this whole scene with the cadets, and we got Keith Sadies, who we're familiar with, and he's kind of telling them, we're gonna learn to defend Titans and so on and so forth. And we get this, very transitional scene. Floch, runs in there and is like, hey, join us, join the Jeagerists. This is what you're meant for, and these are the old ways. And now you have to beat up your commander as a sign of loyalty. And they do, and it's really sad. So we get back just real quick. A quick shot, basically, with Zeke. He's all messed up. He's in the wagon, and he asks, where are my glasses?
What is that about?
Why are you wondering about that right now? It's so weird.
Weirdo.
And the very last scene is the very last little bit is Zeke basically saying, like, having a memory. And so, here's the thing is, even with the preview, and we know it's coming a little bit, they're like, oh, and the next episode is probably going to be, more about this. I didn't even need that. As soon as it was like Zeke saying, oh, where's my glasses, and having these memories, it's like, oh, next episode? Flashback. We're getting one for sure.
Yeah, the first thing I think of when my legs are chopped off is, where are my glasses? Like, what in the world?
Well, your legs don't grow back, to be fair. Or do they?
You got to tell us these things, Rach. All right. If I sound a little bit weird, it's because I'm still getting over a cold, so sorry about that. Go listen to our Friday night game night. Oh, game night.
Speaking of
guys, okay, game night's actually turning into like a really fun, like a highlight of the week.
Now.
So
we
Friday
murder
nights,
each other.
we kill each other in Among Us in various other ways. But yeah, Friday nights at 8 p.m. basically is when we've been starting. So 8 o'clock Pacific daylight time. We all hate daylight savings here. Very much so.
I especially hate it.
All right, so with that, let's jump into the first bit. I don't know if we have to really go over this recap part so much. It's just
Eren's the worst.
Okay.
Well,
but hang on, the comments have got a point.
Okay.
Gabby was talking all sorts of smack about Eren.
It's true, until he walked in
everyone
and then
acts
she's
like
crapping
a G
her pants.
until a real G
She's
gets
like,
there.
I'm gonna die.
Exactly. He shows up, bloody and is like, I'll kill us all right now. And Gabby's
she's
like,
got nothing to say.
I hate Eren.
I'm
Eren's
gonna
the
kill
biggest-
Eren.
Oh, Eren?
Oh.
Can I dust your shoes off, sir?
Can I pee my pants
how
now?
are you
Because I'm
doing?
so scared.
Yeah.
It's true though. This episode has more gangster themes than most.
It's
and I would
true.
say that's the first one.
And the
is-
music, like,
We'll get to it, but
Yes.
essentially hip hop during the Levi versus Beast Titan is so. I loved
pretty
it
great.
personally. I thought it was actually a
liked
great
it.
choice.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Very good.
So Eren walks in. The recap. Okay, it is sort of important just because of what's actually said. Right, Armin says, "No, you kill this, kill that." Like that's all you ever think about, and it's really true because that is actually Gabby's perspective. The reason I'm bringing that up is because I don't want to forget. Like, there's so much else going on. Gabby's storyline was really important just an episode ago, and now all of a sudden, like, we can't talk about anything except for Eren and the rumbling and Zeke and all this other stuff, which is important as well.
It's almost like, who cares about Gabi? Because we have like the founding Titan, we got the the armor Titan, and all these things converging on one point. Zeke and the rumbling's going to happen.
Yes,
but
I want to keep in mind that she's in the room for this whole conversation.
There's a reason.
Okay, and she's new to all of this, but she's taking this all in, and Eren has her like taken away with the rest of everybody else. So. Bring this up because her world
refers to her as the kid that killed Sasha,
which is accurate and horrible, but accurate. She's just had her world rocked in 25,000 different ways.
It's true.
There may be one thing she has right though. Eren is a freaking jerk, and maybe he deserves to die.
Maybe he does deserve to die.
Maybe that's the one person that she wants to kill. At this point, I'm like, I can't blame you. I can't.
Yeah, it does remind us of Falco being a bystander to Eren and Reiner. Gabi's now a bystander to Eren and
Armin and Eren and Mikasa.
Yeah, the gang.
Yeah.
Okay.
Squad.
So the trio are back. Eren says, "I want to talk," and he's got his bloody hand on the table. And we mentioned this last time that that's not if you're coming in to just talk, really, to talk as friends, you don't need to bring a shotgun. You don't need to bring a death threat with you, which he has, right? Like he's got the Titan thing, like he's ready to roll. Meaning he's so suspicious of his own friends that they're gonna Armin has the Titan power, I understand that. Which you gotta wonder if that would work.
With Armin going Titan?
Yeah.
No, he'd kill everybody. He doesn't want to kill everybody.
Blow the crap out of everyone. Gabi, Mikasa, everybody would die.
Okay, I understand, but he could fix this thing. Armin could do it. Okay, he could fix it right now.
kill everyone.
If he just kills everyone.
If Eren is not around to be manipulated, the founding Titan just goes to whomever.
Here's the thing: the problem with Eren's threat is everyone knows he will do it. The problem with Armin's threat is not everybody believes he would actually do that. A threat has to be believable.
I don't know. He blew up the harbor and killed innocent people.
Yeah, but what he intentionally
he has to understand why he's doing it.
Outside of Liberio, not inside of Liberio. I don't think he would have done it inside.
I don't know.
At any rate, they're having this conversation, and basically, Eren says, all right, the first thing he says is conflict isn't necessary to solve Eldia's problems. Number one, he thinks of Eldia as just a normal thing now. This is de facto. He's essentially referring to the island. He's referring to, we've heard whispers of this, quote, Eldian nation.
A new Eldia.
And he's not even talking in that way anymore. He's just like, Eldia.
Eldia.
That place, those people, that nation.
Hey, hasn't that not been a nation for over 100 years? Plus, it's lots of, because there was a Titan War before that.
Yeah.
There is a bit of a connection to the Jewish thing. Remember?
Oh,
okay.
yeah. Israel wasn't a nation for...
Israel wasn't a nation for 1,000... hang on. What's the actual time frame here? So from the Maccabees... No, from Rome, the Maccabees... It's over 1,000 years. Somebody maybe can Google it. But Israel and the Jewish nation lost their nation because Nero is 70 AD. So from 70 AD, depending on how you calculate, 70 AD to now would be, almost 2,000 years.
But it was 1960?
But let's see. 1947 is when they're granted nationhood. So a long time. They suffice to say they weren't a nation for a very long time, but they retained a national identity so long as a people. And once they were granted a nation again, they actually had the same customs, weirdly enough. So anyway, in a weird connection.
Could Eldia go back to being Eldia again?
And would their home be the island?
2,000 years, by the way.
And
2,000
would everybody
years.
would everybody get their memories back?
Are you getting rosy-eyed over here? You
No,
think all the people who turned to Titans are dead are going to come back and they're going to give hugs? And
that's what I want, but
Zeke's
that's not going to happen.
He's actually a good guy. He actually turns out to be a great brother, and it's all.
He just wants to play baseball. Is that too much to ask?
Yeah, he goes on to have a professional career.
Yeah, the new Eldia League.
Okay, but
the team, it's called the Devils of Paradise.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's perfect.
Their logo was the Attack Titan. little Titan mascots running around.
They sell little cotton candy. Titan.
Okay, this is gone.
We've got so many good merch ideas.
Yeah, contact us if you want to.
Just need a foam finger. Okay, these guys are all pointing out, did Eldia really ever go away if Paradis is
Paradis
a lost
existed.
colony of the kingdom
Fair.
and the king went there, it became Eldia then.
Fair point.
Okay, but Eren literally says that conflict isn't necessary to solve Eldian problems. Aren't you the guy who blew up?
Didn't you start the Eldian problems?
Didn't you go to Liberia where a bunch of Eldians live? innocent
and
Eldians.
blow the hell out of them. Yeah.
So obviously some conflict is necessary. Maybe he's trying to like talk like, oh, we're highbrow Eldians. We don't need to fight like these pitiful
He means
Marleys.
no conflict amongst friends.
That's what I'm saying. I agree with her. I think he means...
Dude, does he have friends anymore? I'm pretty sure he just took a giant crap on all of them.
Which he says no conflict, but he comes in with a loaded gun.
That's yes, exactly. He's saying no conflict, meaning like...
With a loaded bomb.
I have the bigger threat here. There's no need to fight back. And again, he's talking to his closest friends as if they're just... He's almost talking politics right here. He doesn't get into the personal bits of really anything. Well, he does, but it's in a negative way.
Well, remember when he comes in, he's like, hey, it's been so long. How are you guys doing? Are you okay?
What a fricker.
No, of course not.
Dude.
I know that this looks really bad, guys, but I can explain. No, just I want to talk to you guys as I bleed all over the table.
Yes, I'm still holding out for the happy
you
ending.
all.
Yes, of course I am.
Always.
Yeah, he says, oh, don't worry. Hanjay and the others are just being moved. That's the same thing they said about the Jews. We're just moving them. They're just being moved from
the trains.
We're not going to kill them
They're
all.
just being moved, being held comfortable. They'll be fine. Like, no, you know what? They're being moved. You're going to go take them to go beat the hell out of another officer. That's what you're doing. You're Anyway.
You're a piece of crap.
So,
I just...
So then he says, I want to talk. And they say, dude, we want to talk, actually. We want to sit down and we want to talk. And he says, yeah, here's the deal. I'm free, you guys. Mm-hmm. I'm free. And the
things I do, the choices I make are all my own free will. Or so he says. Okay, we have to... Well, why don't we go through the whole conversation?
It's interesting that he starts with that.
Yeah. But they asked him about that. I mean, that's essentially the actual question. Okay,
yeah.
Sorry.
They say, don't they say, hey, why did you break free and attack Liberio?
Yeah. Or why'd you go off on your own?
Why'd you go off on your own and start this military conflict? Were you being manipulated by Yelena? Like, what happened? And he says no. Because that's a response. He says no. The reason that all the decisions I'm making are my own. I am free. Do you want to touch on that?
The I am free thing I do. Okay. So I noted this before, and honestly, this is a pretty big deal to me. So he says in season 1, and we've referenced this a million times because it was so unusual, and we were doing the podcast, that's when we noticed it really for the first time. Season 1, the end of season 1, Eren's fighting with Annie, and he's like down, he gets all messed up. And when he gets back up and he's got the weird lava in his veins, he's looking all crazy. Remember, at this point, he does have the Founding Titan. He has both the Founding and the Attack Titan in him. And he gets up and he starts talking, and his voice does the weird kind of demon voice change thing. And it goes really low and so on and so forth. One of the first things he says is, I am free. And it's in that super creepy way. And he's like, I'm gonna kill them all. I'm gonna destroy the whole world.
Well, he says, I'm gonna eat you. I'm gonna
eat you. I'm gonna eat the whole world. There's a destroyer eat.
I think he says, I'm gonna eat you and destroy the whole world, or something along those lines.
And so
it's super creep.
I'm gonna eat everyone.
And where did that motivation? Where did that come from? That wasn't like, oh, Eren was a little boy and all of a sudden he was just messing around and was like, I think one day, Dad, I want to destroy the whole world. Like, no,
pretty sure.
That's why we got into this whole theory of like, okay, we think he's being manipulated by the Founding Titan or Ymir or the Titan blood or whatever you want to call it. Like, to a degree, he's being manipulated, and when he went like super crazy hard Titan, that started to come out. And we were worried that was coming out more and more and more. He was being influenced. Like the One Ring from Saruman.
Yeah.
It's slowly and slowly and slowly just breaking down his will.
Influences you even more.
Yes.
So we've been saying this. If you go back and listen to the podcast, we have been saying this for really since then. We've been saying, I think that the power of the Titan, maybe it's just the Founding Titan, maybe all Titan shifting powers. It's hard to say, but it sure seems like it has an effect. And then once we found out, of course, that, the Founding Titan has an effect on those with royal blood, and there's this whole, there's clearly an influence on the possessor of the Titan power in terms of their actions, their mindset, and so on and so forth. So Eren goes on to make this case, right? He says, I'm free, even though he has 3 Titan powers. He says, I'm free, everything's my own free will. And he says, you're actually being manipulated.
But hang on.
Mikasa says.
Real quick, Mikasa says, hang on, Eren, like, we know you are being manipulated. Like, she's like arguing with him about whether he's in control of his own mind, and That's definitely a way to piss somebody off. Like, you guys don't worry about it. I'm free. Like, no, you're not. You're not free. Like, dude, chill out, right?
Somebody tells you, this is what I think. That's not what you think. What you really think is this. You're like, no, like, but I just told you what I think.
Someone telling you what your own thoughts are is like the worst. So anyway, so she's like, you wouldn't get innocents killed. You, in that cabin, you protected me. You cared about me. You cared about us more than anyone. You gave me this scarf. And she stands up, she starts compassionate. And Eren says, keep your hands on the table. 100% cold, right?
Wow,
now,
dude, I was shook with that. I was.
It shook us, right? But let's think about this for a second, right? Eren says, well, no, we'll go through it. I'll touch that in a second, okay?
All right.
He says, I spoke with Zeke, brother Zeke, in Liberia.
Right, I spoke with Zeke brother to brother.
So he's calling him brother now. We went from, you're my worst enemy at the end of season 3 to now brother to brother. Just my home dog,
and Zeke doesn't describe himself as Grisha's son, but he will describe himself as Eren's brother.
Interesting.
Yeah. So then he says Zeke knows more about Titans than even Marley does. And you're like, that definitely sounds like you're not being manipulated by anybody. You obviously have a pretty high idea of
he sounds
there.
like
the person
he
who's holding you
worships
hostage.
Zeke a little bit all of a sudden.
And then
everybody
he
does,
says,
apparently.
Armin, you're still visiting Annie, aren't you? You think that's your free will? Dun-dun-dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Which, first of all, how does he know that Armin's visiting Annie? How does anybody know? Yeah. Armin looks shocked enough. Like, you think it's a secret.
He's like, what?
Hitch, essentially, is probably the only other person who even knows he goes down there.
But it's like Eren didn't remember that Armin
had a crush on her before he was Bertholdt.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or before he ate Bertholdt.
Anyway.
Who also had a crush on Annie.
He says, memories are what shape people, and part of you is Bertholdt. He's in your head, Armin. You're the one being manipulated by the enemy, which is funny because he says that's the enemy when really Bertholdt would technically be on his side in a roundabout way.
If you look at Bertholdt as on the side of Marley,
I suppose you're right.
Then Marley's the enemy. All right, so as a really quick side note, we'll talk more about this, but basically what we're thinking of the show, I'm thinking of the show at least in these terms, have been for a while, that there's really been 3 groups, I guess, in the show. You have the Marley, right, which is kind of, they're Marley. They have their own nation. They're their own thing. You have the people of Paradise, which formerly would have been, Erwin, Hanjay, the group. Eren would have been on that team, right? People who are trying to defend the island, specifically the island and the people of Paradise, right? But you've always had a third group, which was actually the Wall Restorationists. And so that would be Grisha, Grice, all that whole group that got caught, the owl, so on and so forth, they got caught. That whole thing transcends. So what happens is there's definitely exchanges of members here, but I think those 3 groups still technically hold, right? So you still have a Marley group, you still have a Restorationist group, which are now essentially the Jeagerists, right? They're trying to restore Eldia proper, and then you have a Paradise Island group, which would kind of still be, I think, Armin, Hanjay, maybe
Levi.
picks Levi, whoever's still alive. So if you look at it in terms of those 3 factions, it's a little easier to understand, like, who's who, I think.
The scary part is, where do their goals line up and where do their goals break apart? That's where, because
right.
Marley and the people of Paradise at this point would probably want to all stop Eren.
Yes.
Yet, some of them, yeah. The other ones are Jeagerists, but...
Yeah, and yet the Jeagerists and Marley both want the founding Titan.
Yes.
So in a way, they're aligned.
And also, Paradis and the Jeagerists both want Marley to GTFO and mind their own business.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So there's kind of this weird...
super weird overlap of goals.
Yeah. So he says, you're the one being manipulated by the enemy. And Mikasa says, and he says, you too, Mikasa. And we're like, wait a second. She didn't have any Titans.
That's
like, what are you? Come on, bro.
Like, what?
And he says, no, Ackermans were intentionally designed to protect Eldia's king.
Okay, first of all, since when did this, not current up to our technology level society have gene manipulation capabilities?
That you could design
what the crap?
Somebody?
That you could literally, force them to be a certain way.
That's architectural language. So either we go to science fiction, they genetically modified some weird loyalty gene to Eldian's king, which how could you possibly do that? Or there's some kind of magical
spiritual thing
that connects Ackermans. But how would you force that?
So
we know supposedly Ymir made a deal with the devil to get the Titan powers.
Yeah.
Where do the Ackermans come from?
Who's the devil? Where do the Ackermans come from?
Oh, hey, devs. Yeah, first name basis. Hey, can we get one more of those weird deal things where we get a protector for us, a babysitter? They're really ride or die, and they protect us. They have the cool powers, but they don't have to turn into big monsters.
They have superhuman strength.
Yeah, what do you need, a second soul? Can I get
they're
soul?
like a dog, and they'll just obey no matter what we say.
Yeah, right. So, anyway.
Even if we tell them we hate them.
Ackermans were specifically designed. Who designed them? How were they designed? How did this come about? A lot of new questions. We'll get there. So he says, Ackermann's power awakened when faced with a life or death situation. We were basically young in a cabin, and you were faced with a life or death situation, and you heard my order, fight, Tatake. Instincts awoke from within you, but by mistake, you thought I was the host you had to protect. This is really interesting because either Eren somehow tapped into like the deep oath command the Ackermanns have for the Eldian king, even though he wasn't the Eldian king yet.
He didn't have the founding titan power.
Grisha didn't have the founding titan power. None of that happened.
Right.
Or there's some sort of time thing where he was always going to have the founding titan power. Therefore, he was
destiny.
always the king, which we do think is possible because of the conversation with the owl.
And the
says-
tabs and all that stuff.
Alco
paths.
has those future memories.
Yeah.
Also, Falco having similar visions at the beginning of season 4, like Eren did in season 1.
Or we think a lot of this conversation, Eren is talking like Zeke.
He's double-sided.
He's using enough of the truth to confuse everybody, but he's adding a little twist to it.
I think Pixis's line from, I guess it's 2 episodes ago now, I think.
With Yelena.
So Pixis has Yelena, and he said, and Yelena is giving this whole spiel, like, oh, well, it was this, and see, I didn't tell Eren exactly what to do, and she's like, you know, clearly being mealy mouthed. She's telling some truth, but she's definitely kind of like not telling the whole truth. And Pixis is like very confident. He's like, oh, okay. Here's the thing. You know how to tell a good lie? You mix it in with a little bit of the truth. Okay, and he says that, and I think I don't know if it's the same episode or the next episode is where we find out from Zeke, right? So Zeke told them about the gas attacks. Remember, we were like losing our minds, like, oh, look at this, what happened? Is that they released this gas? It has a little bit of his spinal fluid in there, and so any Eldian or subject of Ymir who comes into contact with that gas, they inhale the spinal fluid, and it disables them, and he can turn them into Titans. Okay, but we find out that that's a lie. That's probably not this episode for sure. Now we know for sure it's not true.
Yeah.
Is that you can consume it, right? It's in the
But
wine.
only when he screams does it disable you or turn you into a Titan.
Correct. So you're not disabled. So there's some truth in there, but it's mixed in with this lie, and so it's hard to like delineate, between the two. So this conversation with Eren, I think, is full of that. I agree with you. I think he's very similar to Zeke. He's under Zeke's influence, and he's talking in the exact kind of very similar ways. So probably there's some truth to this idea that the Titan with Armin, right? You're like, well, he says this line, if who you are is composed of your memories, which is true. That's true in real life. Like, who a person actually is composed of the things you do remember, which is why things like amnesia and like losing memories and Alzheimer's and stuff, it just really transforms a person because like they don't know who they are anymore. Because who you are is.
Or when you get a brain transplant and all of a sudden you have different memories, you speak a different language, and you want to smoke. Yeah, it's pretty crazy stuff.
I'm getting weirded out right now. Well, at any rate,
sorry, as a heart transplant.
I was gonna say
Because your heart has that
the gray matter.
neurons on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, really interesting.
So we think there's probably some truth to that, but like we were just pointing out. Okay, so we'll break down Armin for a real quick second. So he says to Armin, "You have Bertholdt, and he's in your head. Yeah, he's the enemy, so on and so forth. And you go and you talk to Annie.
Enemy, I like that. Annie, the enemy. Enemy.
The enemy princess. You go talk to Annie, and the thing is they have someone inside of you that had feelings for her, and you have feelings for the enemy. So, like, you're getting everything confused, and that confusion is coming from the fact that Bertholdt essentially is still influencing you. Now, he's not saying that the Titan power, but he's saying that the memories are influencing you. Okay, so you're a slave to those memories is what he's suggesting, and it's not you who likes Annie, it's Bertholdt, and so on and so forth. But, as we've noted, long before Armin had the Titan power, had Bertholdt's Titan power, he kind of had a thing for Annie then.
Yeah.
You go back to season 1, it pre-existed that, okay? So then we go to Mikasa.
But what if he always had a thing for, because of the paths, or I don't know.
I don't know. Now
okay.
Everything is just so wibbly wobbly.
Yeah.
Okay, but excluding that, I'm saying that Eren could be saying something true, which is that the memories do have a bit of an influence on you, and something untrue, which is that you only have these weird feelings for her. You're only talking to her because Bertholdt's, making you do that, controlling you to do that.
From beyond the grave.
Yeah, which, you see what I'm saying? Like, I think it's a mix of the two. I think there's there's probably influence happening there. And also, Eren, you're not saying true things. You're not seeing the whole picture. So
then he could be pulling a me from Friday Night Game Night.
What'd you do?
Where he's just
I say the truth,
confusing the crap.
but I don't include the whole truth. I only say part of the truth.
You convinced me to jettison my friend into space.
But I didn't lie. right?
He won off of that, by the way.
I didn't lie. So the thing with that is like, if you're ever like, you know, trapped, I don't want to convince you guys how to lie. Is like, you just tell what the true part, right? That's why when you go on the stand, you swear and you say, I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, right?
Yeah.
If I say, okay, I saw ketchup, like that's the truth, right? But it's not the whole truth. Well, I saw ketchup and I stole the ketchup, right? And then is it nothing but the truth? I saw ketchup and I stole the ketchup, but somebody else took it from me. Like that's not the whole truth, right? You gotta include the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Otherwise, it taints what the truth is. And so on Friday night, I only told a part of the truth. I just didn't tell the whole truth, which made me not a liar.
He'd make a great journalist.
Exactly. And they didn't know if I was lying or not. I wasn't lying. I was telling the truth, but only part of it. It wasn't the whole story. So here we think maybe Eren could be doing that. He could be telling only part of the truth, this whole Ackermann thing. But there could be something else to that, which we've got some rebuttals on that as well.
Okay, so the Ackermann thing, he says the Ackermann, like you said, they're designed to protect LD as king. We essentially, I want to say that part's probably true, because that's already been said in various ways throughout the show that like the Ackermanns were like the king's like sword, historically speaking. But he's going further and saying, no, it's in your blood. You were designed, you were made that way. Okay, maybe, sure. And he says, face of life or death, you heard my order to fight and the instincts awoke within you. Okay, you remember that episode? That one's called The World She Saw, The World the Girl Saw, something like that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Season 1. Still think that's one of the best ones. And yeah, by mistake, you thought I was a host you had to protect. Okay, so she says no, and he's like, no, what? She says, it wasn't a mistake. I became strong because of you.
Yeah.
Right? And Eren just breezes right past it, says, no. Well, he doesn't really even reply to that. He just says, Ackermanns with awakened powers get sudden headaches. It happens when their old self resists being forced to protect their hosts. Right? And she freezes, and she's like, no. And he's like, your family was made to forget who they are, and they live only to protect, right?
In other words, slaves.
Yeah, in other words, you're slaves.
So awful.
And there's nothing I hate more than those who aren't free. They're just like livestock. Could he say more contradictory things?
That's so frustrating to me that he would say that, because before he felt like he was livestock and he was fighting against being made
Just give me
that.
Just give me 5 minutes.
And now he's saying he hates people that are forced into slavery. Like, what the heck is happening to him?
Give me 5 minutes in a room with Eren and an audience of debate, and I will wreck his whole life. Okay,
like,
first off, how could you hate people that are free or that are slaves? They're literally forced to be slaves. They don't have a choice in the issue.
Yeah.
You literally said when you try to resist, she gets headaches. How could you hate her for that? She's trying to resist being a slave. Second off, you said you hate people who are slaves. Why would you hate slaves anyways? Like, they're poor. They need to be freed. You used to fight for the freedom of people. You hated being a slave in livestock.
Yeah.
We understand that.
Exactly.
But you hated it so much you fought against it. You fought to liberate. You said you had the strongest fight when you fought for freedom for people.
You know who you
and
free?
Now you hate
People who aren't free.
That's
you know
what they
who aren't
need.
free? Slaves.
That's right.
Why do you hate the thing that makes you want to exist? What is happening?
Lastly, remember the Ackermanns in Paradise, you guys? You remember how they were like, you know, all hanging out with the king? Oh, no, they weren't.
They resisted the king,
They resisted
Even
the
though they
king.
supposedly can't?
And they were hunted down and chased away and hid away with the Asians in the outskirts of society. That's why Mikasa is who she is, because the Ackermanns resisted the king, which means they're not just mindless slaves. There is probably some truth there, because we do know Mikasa's like hell or ride or die, and she protects Eren even maybe when she doesn't want to. But also, Ackermanns willingly choose to disagree with the king about wiping everybody's memory, and they were chased down and castigated and like attempted to be killed. So there's so there's some stuff going on there too.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So there's a flip side to like every single one of these. There's everything Eren says. There's an opposing like logical thing that could be said. And so, like I said, maybe some of what he's saying is true. It sure sounds true. But if it came from Zeke, you got to doubt that. You got to be like, you sure about that? Okay. So let's start with this part. He says, you swore the oath basically by mistake. You thought I was the host that you had to protect. So his suggestion is that you have this Ackermann blood, and it makes you want to defend the king. And so that Ackermann-ness, your powers, accidentally got awakened to protect me, right, on my behalf. All right, so that's his logic, is it's your Ackermann blood, that's what made you do it. Okay, well, on the flip side of that, she just witnessed Eren, who ran in and bravely saved her life. Okay? And you could argue, okay, well, forgetting what may or may not have awakened her powers, she's repaying the favor. You could be like, oh, yeah, she's just being controlled by Ackermann blood. Or you could be like, yeah, he just busted in there and saved your life.
Yeah.
And now you're going to save his. Isn't that a logical counterpoint? Isn't that something that also makes sense and that pre-exists and precludes any of this Ackermann stuff?
If you don't save his life, that attacker's going to kill him and then take you into sex trafficking. So you're also protecting yourself.
Sure.
Yeah.
So wouldn't you, and that was our original assumption watching that episode, is like that's what awakened this like thing in her, because Levi talks about it as well. We'll talk about that later, but the Ackermann's have an awakening moment or whatever. So then, all right, his next point is that let's see. And she says, no, it wasn't a mistake. I became strong because of you, right? So that's her own rebuttal. It's like, no, I was doing it because you like gave me courage, It wasn't because you like gave me a command. You gave me courage. Okay, Ackermann's with awakened powers get sudden headaches. It happens when their old self resists being forced to protect their host. Okay, again, the suggestion here is you're a slave to your Ackermann blood.
And there's a host.
And there is a host, and that you kind of get committed or connected, there's like a vow or something.
Yeah.
With this, with this person that you're supposed to sworn to protect, and then when that happens, you're like a slave to them. And when your old self, struggling in there, resists that slavery, you get these like sudden headaches. And he says, he asked her, is this a part where he says, does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
This is a part where he says that? Yeah, I think so. The headaches thing is right, is where he says that. He goes, does that sound familiar? And she kind of goes, like, as if she's sort of acknowledging that part's true. And I do have to wonder, is it? They've never mentioned that specifically?
What,
no, but you do
her
see
getting the headaches when she has to protect Eren but doesn't want to.
And Levi both hold their heads quite often.
Yes.
Like they both have moments throughout where they stop and they do this. And I kind of always thought it was just like, I'm thinking deeply, but maybe it was my head freaking hurts right now.
It makes sense because Levi's kind of always in a bad mood and seems like he's like angry with everybody. He's got like total like resting Levi face, or whatever.
Because he has a constant headache all the time.
But here's the thing. The weird thing is we've talked about how, let's talk about the oaths part. Okay. So chat's already on to what we already talked about downstairs as well. Well, first, okay, let's say this. They think that what he's saying is Eren hates people who don't fight for their freedom. I could understand that. But you said they get headaches when they fight against their freedom. Like they literally are like biologically manipulated for Ackermann's fighting against it. Why would you hate that? Why wouldn't you want to help free them? Anyways. So then he says the host, the whole oaths thing. So we see Mikasa makes a vow like to Eren to like protect him. He's her home, right? And we thought, like Eric said earlier, we thought that was a really beautiful, wonderful thing, and now it seems like it's a perverse thing. Like she was like forced to do that because of her biology. But let's also think about the other vows we've seen get made. We see Kenny, he goes after and he tries to kill Uri, and he ends up in his service. Like he ends up making a vow. Then we see Levi wants to kill Erwin, or he ends up going after him, following Erwin,
kneeling to Erwin.
Which, if you haven't seen that, we just did those episodes. There wasn't a new episode last week. We went and did the OVA episodes. It's called No Regrets. It's like a little two episode miniseries of like Levi's backstory. I'm really glad we did that because it very much plays into this stuff we're watching right now. So go check that out. That's from last week.
Yeah. So he says, so there's like these vows that people have made, but Kenny with Uri makes sense. Kenny came to kill Uri.
Yeah.
He actually came to kill Uri. And he tried to kill Uri. And we've talked about how there's only been 3 people we've ever seen attempt to kill a Titan shifter.
And none of them can do it.
And none of them have done it. And they all happen to be Ackermanns.
They're all Ackermanns, and none of them have succeeded.
Levi and Mikasa. So we thought there was some sort of like, vow stopping them from fully killing a Titan shifter.
So does that mean they have a loyalty to like the Titans generally? Were they...
Because they're all kind of controlled by the king?
Yeah. So that's so you see what I'm saying? There's points in favor of both sides of like what Eren's saying and kind of the opposite of what he's saying. Like there's reasons to believe both.
It seems like whoever has a strong enough vision for the future can command the vow of the Ackermann, because the thing that got Levi to like commit to Erwin was like, I've got a future. I believe in a future where we can actually learn the truth about Titans.
I think it's the same thing that got Kenny Yuri could see above where he was. He could see something
Yes.
that Kenny couldn't see.
Yes.
Levi realized that Erwin could see something that he couldn't even see.
But
And it was higher than where he was. And so they both
ideals.
committed themselves to be in service of that person who had a higher vision than they did.
100%. And I agree with that. But what was Kenny doing the majority of the rest of his life?
He was trying to steal the Titan power so he could get the piece that he thought Yuri had. He's trying to take it from, not so much from Frida, but eventually from Eren, right? Is where he ultimately ends up.
That kind of sounds like, I don't know, resisting.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would agree.
And then also, we see Levi. Now, Levi may have made his oath, his vow or whatever to Erwin, but you would think he would also be somehow oathed or vowed to Eren because he's got the founding Titan. He is the king. Yet, Levi loves to kick the hell out
It's true.
of Eren.
He beats the crap out of
And
Eren all the time.
he protects him. He believes in him. He believed he was the hope for Eldia, so he goes forward and he protects him, but only because Erwin told him to.
Yeah.
It seems like he really dislikes Eren at certain points because Eren is an idiot.
He always calls him names and he sounds like he kind of hates Eren.
He's rough on everybody, but
He's particularly rough on Eren.
Yes,
though.
he's very rough on Eren. Here's the thing: he's on Eren's side, and he does have he does protect him, and he does help him, and he does believe in him even at various points. He gives him advice, he does help him. He's not entirely opposed to Eren. Now, obviously, that's shifting very quickly right now, but this is probably a good time to bring up too. So I was asking this during the episode. So the only Ackermann that I think we've seen and we know 100% for sure when the awakening moment is Mikasa, because we watched it in that episode.
We didn't see Kenny's quote awakening moment, and we haven't seen
Levi's.
Talks
about it. Levi asks in season 3 when they're going to the Rod Rice's thing and they're on their way to Rod Rice's little underground area. He says to him, that's basically where they find out that they're Ackermanns in the first place. He says that, oh, I'm Ackermann too, right? And he goes, he asks Mikasa, did you ever have a moment where there was a sudden awakening of power within you? And she's like, oh yeah, she acknowledged that. So you assume that he asked that because he had one himself, and it sure seems like it. He has all the same kind of her. They both have these incredible kind of this fighting
superhuman speed, strength, and
speed. Yeah,
adept at ODM gear and all that stuff.
What was Levi's awakening moment? Have we seen it? Chat for real. If you can think of it, have we seen something that you think was distinct?
Has he not been awakened?
Because that was our theory.
That would be crazy if he hasn't been awakened.
Our theory was, what if Ackermanns are just biologically better and physically better and mentally more balanced?
If they were designed, maybe
agility.
they're superhuman, and eugenics apparently is a thing in this world.
And maybe it is.
Which makes no sense.
But okay, so say they're faster, they're stronger, they're balanced, they're better, they're just better fighters in general. Mikasa had this awakening moment, so she should be way better, way stronger than the other ones who Uri could have caused the awakening moment in Kenny, but Kenny was out there killing thousands of military police before that. So he was doing that without an awakening.
Here's the thing:
Levi's killed thousands of Titans. Has he done that without an awakening?
Okay, but here's the question:
cray cray, man.
Is there? Are we missing something in that? Maybe the awakening and the strength aren't the same thing. Maybe the strength and the speed and so on and so forth is just there, and the awakening thing has more to do with a loyalty. I don't know about that though, because why would Levi say that? Why would Levi? Did you have a moment where strength was awakened within you?
Yeah.
He mentions the strength.
Well, and I'm wondering if it can
power.
If the extra power can be awakened in a life or death situation to preserve oneself, and then it goes away.
I don't know.
And then perhaps once your powers are awakened, you can turn them on and off whenever you want. Who knows?
Next question on this list, though, to me, at least on the Ackermann thing, is how does... We're assuming that this information is coming from Zeke. How does Zeke know all this? How does Zeke have this special history of the Ackermanns? Maybe we could just hit this really quick, or we're just doing all the big stuff at the front end here, apparently. But so you mentioned this when we're watching the show, is that Zeke being a source of information has a lot of special knowledge. I don't know if now's the best time, but I already brought it up.
Eren's saying that Zeke knows more about the Titans than even Marley.
Yes.
That part. So I was saying that that would make sense because Zeke's mother was Dina Fritz, and she had secret knowledge that only the royal family had.
Correct.
And that she and Grisha sat him down and told him everything, and they had those special books and everything when we'll watch that day, the episode that day. It goes through all of that, and then they send him into the warrior program with a mission of some sort.
Yeah, well, the mission being, I think, to bring...
They wanted to go get the founding Titan for themselves, and they were sending him in, and because they realized that Marley had the same goal that they had ultimately, which was to get the founding Titan back into Marley, and so they sent Zeke in there to do the same thing, you know, the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of a thing. They're like, okay, well, we're just going to like sneak in here. We're still against them, but like we're going to use the fact that they're going in the same direction to our advantage.
He's going to take the weapon for himself. I think the idea was that Zeke would go in, take the founding Titan power for himself, and then turn on Marley because he's acquired the power.
Is he going to turn on all the other warriors?
If he has to, I mean, I don't know how it's going to, I don't know. What I do know is that specifically Zeke being a long play restorationist seems essentially to still be true. Mm-hmm. Even the turning his parents in. We're here. We may as well talk about this. Turning his parents in.
I was saying, what if maybe while he was in the warrior program, he caught wind of them potentially being discovered, and so to be above suspicion, he turned them in himself so that they wouldn't suspect him, so he could remain a part of the program. Yeah,
he had to make the ultimate sacrifice.
And he had no time to warn them, and so they didn't understand, and which worked to his advantage because it makes their betrayal look more real, because it was. They felt betrayed.
So he doesn't speak favorably of his father in front of Marley, but he doesn't speak favorably in front of Paradise either. Remember that in season 3?
Yeah.
He says, "Eren, I'm going to come. Our father
has brainwashed you,
brainwashed both of us, and one day I'm going to come back. I'm no son of Grisha, and one day I'm going to come back to rescue you." So this idea of him being a wall restorationist may still hold, but the way that he's going about it, at the very least, doesn't coincide with the way his dad thought of going about it, which would make sense. His dad came, lived in Paradise, became one of them. He seems like a good-hearted, like kind kind of guy, whereas, you know, obviously Zeke is this like merciless,
he's a sociopathic lunatic that just he is obsessed with baseball apparently.
Also, Zeke happens to be able to kind of snoop around all these other nations, convince and begin like the Jeagerists movement.
He's got the 3D chess moves, bro.
Tell Reiner to he can't convince Reiner to join him. He can't convince Annie that both sides are messed up, but we need to actually save Eldia. He can't. None of the, as far as we know, none of the Titan shifters.
None of the other shifters are on his side.
We're on his side in the least bit. And he was planning to abandon all of them.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me.
He couldn't convince any of them. Although maybe he just had to play it that close to the vest. Maybe he's like, I just can't trust any of them.
Okay, but he could trust a random Swedish girl from, I don't know.
All right,
well, okay, but all the shifters have a lot more to lose because Marley has all their families basically in their clutches.
Yeah.
So
true.
They're hostile assets at the very least. So I could see why he wouldn't want to risk that.
I don't know. I just think that a lot of people are saying like that's the reason we were so skeptical of Zeke being in on it the whole time. And when you said that, we were like, no way. But obviously that was true. You were right on that. But like the way he's done it, it's like the worst way.
Yeah, there's still a lot of pieces. I feel like
anything.
He made some decision as a child that was incredibly illogical, and he just stuck with it this whole time and never questioned it, and we just don't know yet.
He was a child soldier, so his reasoning isn't probably the best. But
he's definitely experienced trauma. Plus, he had to turn his own parents in knowing that they were going to be murdered.
Yeah. So anyway, getting back to our scene.
To the conversation,
Ackermann's. He says, your family was made to forget who they are and live only to protect otherwise slaved. Do you know who I hate more than anyone? Those who aren't free, just like livestock. Just seeing you always pissed me off, and now I know why. And this kind of makes sense because remember, there's always been this like animosity between Eren and Mikasa. We thought it was because she was always like babying
trying to mother him, and he didn't like that.
And he didn't like that, right?
Which is an alternative explanation.
It is.
He says, I've always hated you because you're a slave. But the alternative explanation is, no, you were just peeved by her because she was looking after you and you didn't want anybody to look after you. Yeah. Again, like everything he's saying, there's a secondary...
Scene where he's like, I'll put that scarf on you for the rest of your life. Like, where did that guy go? What the hell is going on?
Right. Where did the Eren go who would love to fight for freedom?
For freedom.
Yeah.
Not hate people who were slaves?
Who went to punch...
My wife brought up, I feel like, the best. She's like, is this Eren? Which is a legitimate question.
Seems like it's not even him anymore. Like it's like what Connie said. That doesn't even seem like Eren anymore.
Yeah. First Martyr just mentioned this like a little bit ago in the chat when we first got to this conversation. But Eren is definitely talking out of both sides of his mouth here because he at the very first says, I'm free. I'm not being manipulated by anybody. I have my own free will, blah, 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 blah. And then he immediately goes to be like, yeah, but you have a Titan power, so you're enslaved, and you're an Ackermann, so you're enslaved, and I hate slaves. Like, bro.
You ate 3 Titans, and the most powerful one who actually made a vow that he would cause peace, and anybody with royal blood was like forced to be a slave to his will. So you can't say you're not being manipulated in the least bit.
Let alone, forget the Titan powers, even if none of that's true, Zeke has clearly gotten to you, dude.
Yeah.
You just called him brother. Like, I'm sorry.
Well, I think it's 100% projection. It's a lot of projection he's doing right here, because when Armin gets pissed because Eren's being a dick to Mikasa, the only one who's cared about him his whole life.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, can I just tell you how much I love when he gets fired up enough to punch Eren in the face?
Yes.
I was like, finally.
Yeah, dude. So he gets up, goes to punch him,
he's
and,
real
and
courage.
Mikasa, without thinking,
takes him down.
Right? Then that just brought back to mind one other thing.
What?
Remember Mikasa's always like, oh, Eren, and she's always protecting Eren. A couple of scenes ago, they were talking about killing Eren and having Eren being eaten, and Mikasa goes, and Armin goes like, no, this needs to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
She kind of acquiesces to that. She doesn't like it, but she's
that would be resisting anyway. So then Mikasa inadvertently puts him down, and it seems like it's some sort of confirmation of the spell that Eren's talking about. Look, you're forced to protect me. You're a slave.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. The line I want to say the line he actually says just for the emotional trauma, so we can all relive it here. But he says, "Yeah. I'm sorry. I was always pissed off just to seeing you, and now I know why. Is because I can't stand to see a slave who obeys orders. Ever since I was little, I've hated you. That was a dagger in my heart. Yeah, like you just said, I'll always put this scarf on you. Imagine the trauma.
Poor Mikasa.
What is wrong with you? I don't know what. I need to go back and watch her reactions, but I was really pissed.
She starts crying immediately when he says that.
I want to start crying.
Oh, our reactions. Yeah.
I wanted to hit the dude too. Yeah.
Also,
here, grab his mic. Go ahead.
where's her mic?
She's off screen, but you can hear her.
Hand that comes into the screen. I was gonna say the what you were saying about Mikasa.
I'm sorry. You talk. I'll just mouth. Okay.
No, just let me.
Just let her talk, you weirdo.
Okay, go ahead.
What I was trying to say was, Eren may or may not be right about Mikasa and the bond that she has to protect people or whatever, but also when she was little and was almost attacked and beaten and raped by those 2 men, and he came and saved her. Eren was the only person who was solid and a person that was stable in her life.
Yeah.
So what about the fact that maybe she just has this deep connection with him because she loves him, and she that's the only person in her life, her whole life growing up since that moment, that she had anyone who was stable and who was there for her.
Yeah.
And even though he didn't treat her well at times, he was there for her. And even after when he had that the coordinate power,
Yeah.
when he killed the
Oh yeah, he
that
did
killed
it
his
to
mom.
protect Mikasa.
Yeah.
Yes, and they had that moment, and he was like, "I'll always be there for you," something,
Yeah.
things like that.
That's
that
the
hurts so
moment
much
I was
worse.
talking about. When he says, I'll put that scarf on you for the rest of your life. And then also when he's a freaking Titan and she's about to get crushed and he protects
he
her
saves her
as a
immediately.
Titan.
Yeah.
What is happening?
2 things can be true at the same time as well. So maybe she does have some biological thing where she wants to protect him unnaturally, but that doesn't mean she also didn't choose to give her devotion to someone who cared for her.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. This is might be a good time. This is a really random thing. Okay. If you're for fellow Bible nerds, you know what I'm about to say. But okay. So in old school, literally ancient history, people were obviously slaves involuntarily in every culture everywhere. It was very common. But a lot of times you became a slave because of your own debt or because of your parents' debt. There's all these various reasons. But and so in Jewish cultures there was ways of paying off this debt. You would serve for a certain number of years, so you were a slave
7 years.
for an X number of years, a period of time to work off a debt or whatever it was. However, there was this thing where certain slaves were treated so well by their masters, they actually became friends, right? They weren't the relationship wasn't a master and slave in this really negative way, but they actually came to know and trust and love their masters for various reasons. Now, again, think of this slavery.
It's not chattel slavery.
Try your best to not imagine your modern, American / European slavery from the
Chattel
1700s.
slavery.
The Dark Ages.
Yeah, child slavery.
Chattel.
I'm saying the race-based slavery of the slave trade of the 1600s. What's that?
Antebellum South.
But it wasn't even
before that,
it's European
and beyond
slavery.
that.
It came here. My point is to say that slavery, while all slavery I think is brutal in some way, that kind of slavery was particularly brutal.
Barbaric, yeah.
It was very property based, right? Whereas slavery in the ancient world took on 1,000 different forms.
It's more like indentured servitude.
Exactly. The slavery I'm talking about is more of a you're working off to pay your debts kind of slavery than a I own you as a piece of property kind of slavery.
In that law, it was illegal to mistreat, and in that law, it was illegal to beat. It was illegal to kill. You were responsible for protecting them like you were your family.
Right.
You were the family, and at the end of 7 years, no matter what, you had to let them free.
Right. And so, not defending slavery here. None of us are doing that.
No.
For the record.
No.
I'm just trying to get you to imagine the type of slavery I'm talking about. The type of slavery I'm talking about is one which is like, again, you're paying off a debt, and so. This is a kind of world where, servant and slave, those words were interchangeable, where, the relationship could actually be a very positive one with the people who were like serving under you. And so there was such a thing as when slaves decided even though their time to be free came, they actually decided, they say, no, I love my master so much so that I'm actually going to dedicate and I'm going to pledge myself to them for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And they would take a piercing in the ear called an awl, AWL, and they'd take a piercing ear and they would commit themselves because they knew that their master loved them, and they would actually, so at that point they became a bondservant or a bond slave, right? It was a totally different thing. And this was not, now it's no longer slavery, it's no longer forced indentured servitude. They were actually choosing it. They were volunteering.
Willing, yeah.
They were bound to each other. It was a covenant of sorts.
Yeah, and so it's a really weird, so I'm just saying because this is one of those times where I'm like, not that Eren's a good slave master by any stretch, but I'm saying that it is possible to be in service of somebody that you love and that you want to serve them. And that's a positive relationship should be anyways. We all serve each other. But the whole idea of this like a bond servant thing is like it's a commitment to somebody because of the way they were like so like good to you. So it at least is possible that in Mikasa's case, she looks at Eren and is like, Eren, all my life you've been so good to me, and like even though I'm bound to you, I would choose it anyway. I would choose you anyway. And then because that's been true up until now, up until recently. Now he's a jerk.
The whole idea behind that whole like choice was, if you think you could have a better life outside of the servanthood of this house, you're free to do so. But if you think that this guy is like, I serve Bill Gates, he's got billions, homie's bankrolling me, I'm treated way better than somebody who's like got their own house or whatever.
Yeah.
And this guy is kind to me, he loves me, he's a humanitarian or whatever, right? Like, I'd rather be in this guy's house as a servant than be the richest person out there, because this guy's treating me way better. Like, we're friends, we're family, we're united.
Yeah.
And so I think it's better here to be a servant than it is to go out and be, just some one-off at a ditch in the world. And that's kind of the choice. It's like, I think it's better with Eren than it is somewhere else. That could be the parallel you're looking for.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is I think like Mikasa, my wife said it best. Like, it's love is really at the ultimate. Ultimately, like, no one would become a bond servant, and except for they like loved whom it was that they were like serving, And so the point is that like, I feel like Mikasa could have both. She could very much have a bond servant attitude. Like, no, I would serve you. I would want to be with you always anyway. And come on, just get married, okay? Just kiss, just like have your moment, like just let it happen.
I don't know, man. I'm pretty mad at him now. He doesn't deserve her anymore.
It's over.
Yeah.
He's a jerk.
It's time to kill you.
Mikasa's son's Armin on the table, and Eren says the terrible thing again. He says, your life has been dictated by Ackermann's blood. It's all you really are.
Ah!
Gosh, he's such a
He's
poo.
so horrible.
So then she like responds to that. Armin gets up and he lands a good
punches
one, right?
him again.
Feels good.
Or actually punches him that time.
Guards come in, they're like, oh, Jeagerists, are you okay? And he's like, I'm fine. Eren's like, I can handle my business. And he like, starts beating up on Armin, right?
That part sucked.
He says, you want to know why we've never fought before? Because it's not a fair fight. No, the reason you haven't fought before is because you cared. You were protecting Armin against oppression, and now you are inflicting it on everybody else. You're jacked up in the head, Eren, and you're wrong. So anyway, so he says, look, if you tell me where Zeke is, there's no need to fight. Take him and the girl. And this is why I think it's projection, is because Armin, like, bloodied, beat up, still is more of a man. He's like, I didn't hear no bell. And he's like, oh, is that what you came to say? You wanted your freedom just so you could hurt Mikasa? Who's the slave who bows to a bastard now? Like, and Eren does not like that. He's like being called out. Why? Because he's projecting. Oh, you guys are slaves. He's like, Armin's like, you're a flippin' slave. Like, you're not real. And Eren's like, watch who you call a slave, right? You can tell it gets to him.
Dude, so. Armin's the good guy. I'm digging this Armin 2.0.
I've told you guys they didn't make the wrong choice, okay?
No, if Eren,
I'd still pick
was
Erwin.
here,
No, I'd still pick
this would be an
Erwin.
issue.
No.
He would have freaking taken Eren over his knee.
He would have put him down, dude. He would have put him
Guys.
down like a freaking stupid.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, John stock's going up right now.
John was
Massively.
right about him the whole time.
Yeah, horse face. All right. Okay, we spent a lot of time in this scene, but it needed it. Okay. Next scene is she's like, we're gonna move everybody, don't worry about Hanji and the crew, we're gonna move them. Yeah, okay, buddy, we're just moving them, we're not gonna whatever. But she says to where, and he's like, to Shiganshina, where it all began. And they show his like Titan. Remember he did the Titan crystal thing there, and somebody has cut a new hole in it.
Yeah,
that was not there before. He had sealed the hole, and now the hole is open. Now it could have been that, once all the Titans were taken care of, it wasn't necessary, so they cut it open anyway, just as another, because it technically is a gate. So they were like, oh, we need this to function as a gate again. Who knows? Regardless, conspiracy theories abound. Perhaps there's something more in the basement that we don't know about. Perhaps there's something more to Shiganshina generally that we don't know about.
Rachel said that during the reaction, and I was like, please tell me there's more in the basement.
Yeah,
like, there's layers of, I don't know. We always hope there was
There's
more than
something
just
else
some
in
books,
that
but
basement besides those books.
It could have been.
Tell me.
Certainly could have been.
Tell me there's like, I don't know, a really good Hot Pocket
So-
that gets hot
Maybe
on all
there's
sides.
Titan power serums.
It's not hot in the
It doesn't burn your mouth.
It doesn't
either.
scald your mouth like lava. I don't know.
All right, so the next part again is a little bit of recap. Levi's like, "Yo, we should have had the Beast Titan like eaten." And he said specifically, "Why don't we just give him to one of the Jeagerists?" And I'm assuming that, like what you were saying, maybe this is like a, let's give the Beast Titan, have one of the Jeagerists eat him as like a
peace
we'll
treaty.
still go through with your plan. I don't know if I'm on board with the plan, but F the plan. What I do know is that Zeke specifically is the bad guy here. So long as he's dead and somebody else has the power, we can at least work with that.
Yeah.
So
if Zeke dies, their whole party's over, is what he says.
Yeah.
If the puppet master gets killed, we're all fine. As long as his power is somewhere else, we can still do the whole plan thing. Right?
Yeah. And so he's counting on Pixis coming to him at this point. And he actually says that. He's like, "Oh, let Pixis come. I'm gonna chop all this guy's limbs off," and so on and so forth. So he goes and he confronts. He talks to Zeke for a second, and he's like, "Oh, you've been eavesdropping and all this stuff." And he's like, "Yeah, there's nothing else to do. This book is boring." It makes me wonder if Levi intentionally fed him some like eavesdrop information to try and like throw him off or something like that. Regardless, he asks if there's any wine left, and he's like, "We've been here a month, so we now have a time frame. We've been here for an entire month. There's not a drop left." And he says, "He's got 30 soldiers up here." So basically, Zeke's in there tight. Here's the part where it
I
gets
like how
interesting.
Zeke pretends to be disappointed that there's no wine when in fact he's elated.
Yeah,
he's making sure
like,
that
good.
that all the rations have gone out.
So they're playing each other, right? So Zeke is like, "Oh, I'm playing Levi right now, like making sure all that wine's drank. Okay, now's my time. There's enough spinal fluid with everybody. I can do my thing." So Levi though mentions here to himself. He says, "So it turns out Zeke was the enemy after all." Right? Because there was this like moment of like, is Zeke on our side? Like what? But he's an enemy to whom? He's an enemy to Team Paradise, right? So he's like, so there's 3 teams here. We got Team Paradise, Jeagerists,
He's
Marley.
technically also an enemy to Marley.
Yes. Well, for sure. To Marley, for sure.
But he's like the greatest ally to the Jeagerists.
Dude, and we cannot forget, we saw Pick like an episode or two ago, and they're there.
Pick, Reiner, and Galliard are there somewhere.
Do you think this last... No, wait, please don't do this to us. No, God, no.
You know it's going to happen.
Is the last episode of this half literally going to contain Zeke,
all the Titans fighting,
Eren, and the Titan shifters from Marley all in
a brawl,
just popping off in some like?
I'm pretty sure,
because you can't do that in one episode and not leave it on the world's most ridiculous. I'm so mad. I'm already mad. I'm pre-mad. I know it's coming.
I'm secondhand mad off that.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly where we're headed.
Yeah. Well, okay. In this scene, when they're both like talking to each other but saying coded things and also thinking like, "I'm gonna kill you" in a bit, it reminds me of like that military saying as a general. I think it's General Mattis. He said, like, always, like, speak kindly and have a plan to kill everyone you know.
That's a good line.
All right. Also, this scene opens up with Zeke's glasses.
Yeah, he mentions them later.
Okay. The whole party's over if they lose Zeke. Zeke says he's read the book 7 times.
Yeah. He says
it's a lot of times.
I wonder what book it is.
He says, Levi says he's our enemy after all. And finally, he says about Erwin, finally, I'm going to hold the promise I made to you. Your deaths are going to have meaning at long last after all.
Yeah.
I love that.
Remember how we talked about...
Come on, dude.
Eren Eren had like the vow he made on the boat. I'm gonna kill all the Titans.
With my
And then
bare
he,
hands.
He completed that vow. Then he had to like go on to the next one, right? He thinks he's gonna like try to free LD. We're not really even sure what it is, but what if those like strong like determination, like visionary, vows are what bind the like Ackermann / like inspire others, and then Levi's going off what Erwin's kind of last one was like.
Yeah.
I don't know. Kill the Beast Titan.
Ackermanns are make a promise, they fulfill their promise. Like they're actually gonna come through.
Like if he's like, I'm gonna go get some Skittles, like homeboy's getting Skittle. He's gonna come back with a whole handful of Skittles.
Okay, so I kind of want to get through this for time because I want to get to the next episode. But,
yeah.
All right, so there's gonna be meaning to your deaths. And then as soon as he thinks that to himself, he's walking away and he sees Zeke running in his dorky way. He runs off. As soon as they cut to that shot, I said out loud, I was like, this is it. Whine, Titan, yell.
Yep.
Who didn't see this coming? Levi didn't. It's because he didn't have all the information. But at any rate, he runs off.
I know. I like how he's like, hey.
His yell is way less epic this time.
It's true. He's just basically like, through the woods.
It's like that. It's exactly like that. So he does a yell, and we see the thunder spears falling out of their hands, and obviously they become Titans. Okay, this is the part I want to spend a second on. We cut back to, I don't know if this is HQ. I don't know where everybody's at here, but it's Pixis, Nile, Hitch, a bunch of people we know, but it's all military. They're all scouts. Mm-hmm. They're all military. They're all upper level like military people, and it's wherever they have Falco. Who else is there? I'm trying to think. There's a bunch of people we know. Anyway, they are shocked for a second. They're like, "Oh, my body went numb." One person says, "Huh? I didn't feel anything."
Yeah. Is she
Hitch.
a Ackermann
So
secretly or
either
something?
Hitch is
or
not. Yeah,
loyal?
she may not have Eldian blood, or she didn't drink. It wasn't her. The
no,
redheaded
it's
girl?
not Hitch. It's what's her name? She's Pixis's right hand lady. I can't remember what her name
Petra,
is.
right?
Hitch has blonde
Petra's
hair.
dead.
Oh,
this lady
Petra's
has the
dead.
red hair.
She's a redhead. I
Yeah.
can't remember her name right now.
What's her name?
I totally can't remember.
Anka?
Anka? Bianca? Something like that.
Oh, Lubyanka.
It's definitely not that.
Okay.
Okay, at any rate, she's like, I didn't feel anything. What?
Who's that?
The blonde one?
Mm-hmm.
That's not, I don't know. That's not Falco.
Sorry, somebody keeps saying, "Did you notice anybody during the speech?" And I'm like, "Isn't that
The glasses
Falco's
guy?
brother?" No, the blonde.
No, Colt?
Isn't it?
Is it?
Isn't it Colt? I'm pretty sure that's Colt.
Am I this bad at things right now?
I'm pretty sure that's Colt.
Dude, that would be nutty. That would be espionage. That would be way next
I'm
level.
like 99% sure that that's Colt
Dang.
right there.
Completely missed that.
Okay, I definitely missed that.
What?
Okay, so...
It's
all right.
been bugging me, and then somebody kept saying, "Did you see anybody?" And I'm like, "Yes, but who was it?"
Okay, yes.
Sorry, guys.
That's because we brought up the other stuff.
Yes,
okay, so we
yes.
just spoiled ourselves.
Sorry.
Thank you. Actually, that's a good call. Okay, I want to get through this section of the. So at least one of them says, "I didn't feel anything." Okay, it's redhead girl, Anka, or whatever her name is.
Yeah, whatever the heck her name is.
Then, sure enough, Falco specifically says, "Oh, I just feel like I got zapped by electricity," and he's all, near death or whatever. I've been calling this for a long time. Falco gets a Titan power.
Mm-hmm.
It happens because he accidentally gets transformed in some situation with Zeke. He becomes a Titan, and it's either by necessity, like to save his life or something. But I think it is by accident. I think he gets a power.
I think he gets some power,
intent-
but I'm not sure he gets transformed into a Titan because he missed it. He was out of range. He just felt the little zap.
Yes, Zeke doesn't die here. There's no way.
No, I don't think Zeke's gonna die.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
it's
sure
not
he's.
over.
Either.
I'm pretty sure that Thunder Spear is gonna blow up.
No, I think
and
Nile picks
Levi's
us-
gonna get jacked up, and he's gonna escape.
You think
Yeah.
Nile and Pixis are going to get transformed to
Oh,
pure
I
Titans?
think everybody who
I
had that
think
wine
so.
is going to. I think basically the entire this is what I think. Is I think that this season ends with the most tragedy of tragedies, which is that all that's left of the Paradise kind of resistance people is just a small. I mean, it's Mikasa, Armin, a handful of them make it away, and they make it off to his. They run. They have to. They run for somewhere for safety. They make it to Hizuru or wherever, and that Paradise becomes Jaegerville. They rename it Jaegerville.
Jaegerville.
This is really great.
Capital Eren, subcapital Zeke.
Yeah.
And what's the, I don't know.
Kershaw?
Floch is the...
Floch, yeah, Floch gets to something. What a piece of work he's turned out to be, Floch.
Floch.
Piece of crap. Anyway, yeah, so, all right.
Before we jump into that,
care for the soldiers. Oh, that's right. The fight scene between these two people. What are their names? Levi and
Levi and Zeke. But before we get to that,
okay. Before we get to any of that, something really exciting to tell you guys about.
Really exciting, you guys.
Stop having nerd problems over here.
Could you stop having the nerd problems?
Sorry.
So, listen, this pandemic, it's got us all feeling stressed.
Yeah, sure has.
Feeling down, feeling like cattle trapped inside these walls for 100 years. All the while, giant humanoid-like zombies creep just outside of reach with an insatiable hunger for human flesh and a burning desire to end humanity as we know it. It's just me?
No, that might just be you, yeah.
Well, none of us are feeling our best during the pandemic, right? And the experts agree the only cure is more anime swag, all right?
Indeed.
So today's Beyond the Basement episode is brought to you by our fellow squad members, Holly's Anime Store. GreatAnimeDeals.com. Here you can fulfill all your swag needs by picking up things like figurines, wall scrolls, clothes, and much more. Don't be an abnormal. Order your mystery anime box today, and you just might get that sick Attack on Titan gear that will make all your friends drool like Sasha at a buffet. Mm-hmm. And now, Holly is also offering custom art commissions. Now you can finally get that picture of Erwin with the angel wings riding on a white stallion of freedom, charging into the fray once more. And it looks a little something like this. Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. We're going to pop that up on screen next time.
Yeah, it's going to be dope. It's going to be super dope. So, true salute to Holly from GreatAnimeDeals.com. And what are you guys waiting for? Click the link in the description below. Support a fellow Beyond the Basement squad member, all the while leveling up your anime game. And Holly's been super awesome. She has provided not only a cool picture of Eren on a white stallion, but also
Erwin, but yes.
Erwin on a white stallion. But also she's provided a discount code for Beyond the Basement squad members. So if you guys want to get some sick anime swag, you guys can go to GreatAnimeDeals.com and use Beyond the Basement for 15% off any purchase there. So if you guys are squad members, check out, support fellow squad members. And if you guys have any store, shop, cool stuff you want to sell, send us an email.
Sponsorship opportunities are available.
We love to hook up fellow squad members.
Okay, but for real, go check out our shop. There actually is a bunch. If you're even remotely interested, even if you're not, go
check it out.
Not right now. After the show, go and check out her shop.
Multitask.
We love to take care of our own around here. Okay, so let's get into this. All right, the fight scene and stuff. Sorry, I lost my spot. Specialty. Oh, that's right. Okay, so we get the little flashback. I feel like we don't need to go over too much detail on this, but we get the flashback where they talk about the wine, and he's like, oh yeah, like they begged me to take the wine, and friggin' Levi, who's always Mr. Tough and like always like tells people no.
He's like, why do we need this wine? We have tea. And they're like, Captain,
tea
please.
is greater than wine. Duh,
and
everyone knows that.
He let them have it, but he either A, didn't drink it, or B, it's just he's an Ackermann, he can't transfer
The way
anyway.
that they said Captain was so cute.
Except for I don't know what the word is.
It was so cute.
Like, don't we deserve
They're
it?
like, we deserve this, don't we, Captain? And he's like, but we have tea. And they're like, Captain!
Please, let us drink the wine.
And he's like, whatever.
He gave in his softness. He's giving in, trusting his comrades.
Yeah, trusting his comrades killed everyone again. Oh my gosh. Seriously, if you have not watched the Levi ones, the OVA episodes, no regrets, watch it now. Okay, so he realizes, he says to himself, the spinal fluid was in the wine, and no one was frozen. It was a lie after all. Remember, that's the theme here. You tell a little bit of truth, you mix in with a lie. That's like Zeke's specialty, dude. He's not specifically powerful. He's specifically a master manipulator.
So Zeke's running out, being carried by a Titan, and he's got two like Titan guards with him, and he's of course like a great villain. He's monologuing. You thought you had all these things. In the end, we couldn't end up trusting each other. The whole world is falling apart on this island. You don't even know what that means. You thought you had power, time, choices. Levi, your greatest mistake was not understanding you had none of those things. You had no power, no time, and no choice.
Yeah.
You have to do it the way I want to do it.
It's the way I do it or no way at all. And again, this is Zeke presupposing I have all the information, which he says here,
maybe he does.
Even if I explain my intentions to you, you wouldn't understand.
You wouldn't get it.
Yeah.
What a child. You have, first of all, it's very arrogant to be like, well, I have all the information, so I know what's best. And all right, so why don't you share that information with us? Maybe and we can agree together and we'll work together. No, you wouldn't understand. You don't understand me, Mom. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, what the frick is wrong with you, dude?
Oh, man.
So he has, okay, the other thing I want to bring up really quick is Levi in the forest, the Titans or whatever. He's like falling into them and he refuses to kill him for a second. He hesitates.
I know, he's trying to just go up the trees because, before this moment, they couldn't climb trees.
These ones climb trees and are fast. And
Abnormals, man. They're controlled by Zeke.
He's like, is that Zeke as well? And then he says, then he recognizes the face of one of them as Varys, one of his friends.
Gosh, that sucks.
I was very much questioning. I was like, I don't think Levi lays down and dies here, and I'm almost positive he kills him because it was literally in the trailer. But does he just run?
He just felt bad. I was like, there's no way. He's killing all these guys, but he's going to feel really bad about it.
I know. In my brain, I'm like, okay, there's only two choices. Either let them eat you or kill them all. And you kind of watch Levi turn off his humanity in a way and just kill them all. This is a real goes into machine mode.
Into Levi mode, yeah.
So when he pops back out and freaking just starts to wreck the Beast Titan, he actually says that very specific. He's like, you have no clue how many of my comrades we've had to kill. And it's so true. It's like, listen, bro, you have not thrown anything at me just now that hadn't been thrown at me before that I'm not perfectly willing to do, right? He's just fully got this. So, all right, see this. Hang on, his monologue. No, after his monologue, Levi pops in. Oh, that's right. So during the fight, Levi does Master Levi stuff. And, no, this is the part I want to get to. Sorry, I keep skipping around. During the monologue, even if I explain my intentions to you, you wouldn't understand. And he has this flashback to Eren. He's like, right, Eren?
Throwing the baseball, right?
Throwing the baseball around. He's like, only you and I do. Only you and I, meaning, I think Rachel's theory is correct. They're the only two that have all the information, essentially, to work with.
And they have maybe the paths, the royal blood. Maybe they see more.
I don't know.
They have the memories of the royal family that have been secretly hidden away from Marley, and then they have all of Marley's information, insider information, because Zeke was trusted in the warrior program for so many years. So they have a bigger picture, a more three-dimensional picture of what's really going on than anyone else.
Yeah, no, and that's the assumption. I think that's basically correct. They have kind of this upper level look at everything basically, and that's how they think of it. But it's the arrogance to think that they couldn't just.
Why aren't they sharing that information with anybody?
Yeah.
What the heck is happening? Who
Pete's
even
right.
is Eren anymore?
Unless Pete's right in that the thing that they share is this they have the Titan memories and they have the paths and they have this kind of all this stuff this, stuff that only them as Titan shifters and royals can have.
I'm wondering if, him talking to Zeke, maybe he made physical contact with Zeke and he got access to more memories, and now the king's will is taking over.
I think so.
He's starting to act like Yuri. He's, emotionless and sad, and he's acting like...
His eyes.
His eyes are different. His attitude is different. I mean, we only really see his real emotions every so often when somebody pisses him off for a second.
So, one might argue... Maybe Manindra might argue that well, look, the only two people who have the most knowledge in all the paths are acting like this, therefore they must be right? They're the Jeagerists, but they must be right because they have the most information to work off of. Everybody else is working off less information, so they're not making the correct decision. And it's kind of almost like the Doctor Strange eye of Agamotto. He can see all this. This is the only way we can do this, right? But I would counter... It's like the Plantier. Here we're going to multiple universes here. It's like Lord of the Rings and the Plantier, right? You have this access to information, the paths where you can see and you can access more information. But what if one of those has been tainted and you're seeing false information projected to you by someone wicked themselves, Saruman, aka Ymir, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
So what if they think they have all the information, but really they're the ones being co-opted? Yep.
It's entirely possible. All I know is that this scene of Levi taking down the Beast Titan again is so it's good every time it happens. It feels delicious, but this one definitely had some spice to it because he literally. So Levi says to him, he says, so he's crushing out the Titans. He's throwing them out at Levi. He's like, "Where'd you go?" And he's crushing the head like a grape or whatever. And he's like, "Oh, you had to kill your old buddies or whatever." And he starts seeing all the branches falling. I love this because I'm like. Levi is setting up the trap. He's got the branches as the distraction. They're all going to come down. He says, who gave you the idea you could escape from me? Meaning like, you thought you were playing me this whole time? I'm going to play you, okay? This is 4D chess. This is 5D chess. I'm on top of it all. The cream always rises to the top.
Come on, baby. He goes straight Macho Man. He's like, oh, brother, let me tell you something. I'm going to get you, Levi. Oh, yeah. So, dude, it's a great, epic, like, anime hero line where you think the Beast Titans got him played. You think everything's going on. All of a sudden, he's like, where are you? And he says, as Levi still shows up, he says, damn it, again? Like, I just can't get rid of you.
And he bites his hand.
He goes to Beast. He's looking for him, right? He's even got the hardened nape. He's ready for Levi this time.
He's the impossible Ackermann.
Everything he could possibly do, right? And he's one of the most, like, strongest, like, Titans. And Levi's like, what gave you the idea you could escape from me? Like, what kind of fool told you could escape from an Ackermann,
This is where Levi
bro?
goes Super Saiyan, I think.
Yeah.
This is where
his hair started to change.
I'm waiting for that to happen. I'm waiting for the hair to come.
Dude, I mentioned this during the reaction video. I was like, they could play me a 70-minute montage of Levi beating the hell out of Zeke, and I would enjoy every
watch every minute, every week.
Yeah, that's a fine cuisine. That's a great 2-year. I could tell with a nice red vinaigrette to that taste. Yeah, please keep beating the hell
Send
out
me
of
more.
this guy.
Okay, so he drops him. He uses the thunder spears on him, and his body
Blows
pops out,
him
right?
out.
And so there's one disturbing thing that happens, and we had to rewind and watch it. When we watched it the second time, we looked at it closely. There's a little piece of flesh that kind of quivers a little bit.
It's like his bottom jaw,
Post-mortem?
part of his neck-ish.
In the past,
of the Titan specifically,
we would just say, "Oh, it's just a cool anime effect." But every time we've thought that it's been something.
That means something, and that part of your jaw can be attached to your brainstem.
To your brainstem. Now, listen, you guys.
Which is in the nape of your neck.
Try to not make predictions. Well, like when it's prediction time, we just throw anything on the wall. But when I'm trying to like make theories, I don't try to theory craft without any evidence. Okay, but I don't know why. When I saw this scene, in my gut, I was like, he's not dead. Levi didn't get him. This is a trap. This is a fake. It's a decoy or something like that. And then I saw him. He lifted him up. He's like, oh, Beardy, you smell like crap and you look like crap and I got you now. And he coughs. And I was like, oh, maybe he does get him. I swear. I don't know. It doesn't feel right that he got him, right? Just like it didn't feel right when he killed him that first time in Liberio.
Oh, that was too fast.
Right?
Yeah, we knew that was.
But it didn't feel right. It didn't feel right this time either. Mm-hmm. And he coughs. And I was like, oh, maybe he did get him. But then as he's taking him away, we see the jaw quiver. Remember, Rachel said it earlier, remember when Reiner almost gets killed? He transfers his consciousness
to his actual
to the bottom half of his body,
different part of a body,
the Titan body specifically.
What if Zeke has got some next level skills and he transferred some part of his Titan?
So his consciousness is in two places because he talks again after this. And he's like, "Where's my glasses?"
So that contradicted my whole theory. I was like, "Oh, maybe he did." But I was
unless
like,
there's something going on we
that.
don't understand, like maybe he can be connected to his Titan body at the same time that he's in his.
He knows the most about Titans than anybody else.
And he has multiple times stepped out of his Titan body, completely out of it, and stood on its shoulder and talked to people, and then gotten back inside, and it didn't disappear.
True.
How did he do that?
Like I said, you guys, I have no proof for this one. I just felt it. Maybe I'm 100% wrong. Maybe we'll find out in the next episode. I don't know.
All right. So we kind of got to breeze this last little bit. Hopefully we don't get too caught up in this. But it's a good episode. Dang it. All right. So the next part is Keith Sadies. He's yelling at the cadets. He's calling them the 109th. And he's telling them they need to be trained to defend Shiganshina from attack. Now, my assumption here is that they're in Shiganshina right now. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I think
this
so.
This is Shiganshina because it's destroyed. It's become a training
ground. They're going there. That's the meeting place.
That's the meeting. That's the meeting place. I'm saying, yeah. In the arc of the story, it makes sense because that's where they're going to meet. That's where Zeke is supposed to meet Eren. But I'm saying that Shiganshina's been all wrecked anyway, so that's a good place to train troops to destroy stuff and fly around. So he tells them this. And they start, murmuring amongst themselves. Why should we care? People are our enemies now. I think we should be, people are saying we should be doing firearms trainings and have an Eldian army. And they're like, yeah, this guy's like stuck in the past. And some dude in the back pipes up, the dude with the glasses, and is like, our only hope is for the Jeagerists to take complete control. And people are all hushed about it, like, oh no, like he'll hear
that out loud.
As soon as they came to this scene, because the first thing that happens is Keith Sadies is yelling at them, and they have this like quiet, awkward moment. And I'm like, are they all Jeagerists now? Like, is this thing like infected the whole country?
Yeah.
And
Just the back row, it seems.
Yeah. Well,
not
eventually
just,
it was
not
all
just
of
the
them.
back row.
So yeah, they're having this like conversation, and he says specifically, we want Eren to lead us because we need a leader who can make tough decisions. Oh God, this has so many Nazi vibes. It's not even funny. I'm sorry. Like,
It's straight fascism.
I hate
bro.
having to go
Floch
back.
looks like a Nazi, okay?
That's what we've been saying for a long time.
Yeah.
The Luger, the way he's got his hands behind his back, the way his uniform is, it looks straight Nazi. But it's not just that; it's the tactics, right? Think about Hitler before the rise of the full Nazi movement, right? Hitler was in bars talking to grizzled World War I vets about all your problems are because of one specific people group, right? It's everyone who disagrees with us. It's all these people, and he castigated all the Jews as like these terrible people who
all the rest of Europe. Like,
yeah, and he basically said, look, we lost a war and we did some bad things, but that's not our fault. That's actually somebody else's fault, right? And he got them all like united. We're one Germany. They're trying to break us down. And he was talking to all these grizzled World War I vets who were poor, who were broken down because the Treaty of Versailles, right?
World War I's treaty is Versailles. I'm pretty sure. Yes.
That basically made Germany like completely handicapped.
Yeah,
and they couldn't economically recover the least bits. Everyone was poor and out of a job and sitting around waiting for somebody to come along and be like, "Hey guys, do you want to fight back?"
Yeah, that was after World War I.
Industrialize our economy and blah blah. Okay, well. The point is, though, specifically this idea that, like...
The brown shirts,
they come up and they have... Their tactics are to, like, recruit people at this, like, grassroots level to play into these grievances.
And to beat the hell out of anybody who disagrees with them.
Absolute dirt out of... Yes. Very violent tactics. And this is fascism, right? This is what these people do. Well, Nazis didn't like fascists, but they were the same. They're one and the same, in my opinion. And nonetheless, my point is to say that people viewed Hitler in the same way they viewed Stalin and the same way they viewed Mao. They literally said of these people, these are like the worst dictators on the planet, but people supported them because they said, oh, they're good, they're strong leaders, and they're, quote, willing to make tough decisions, i.e. kill innocent people and be horrible. I'm like, no, don't use that line.
There are a few things that like really bother me deeply in my soul, like hurting children and also disregarding and devaluing people older than you as if they're trash. Yeah. That really ticks me off. You Keith should Sadies. Honor people that are older than you. You should value what they have to say more than people your own age because they've been alive longer than you and they actually know what the heck is going on. And people that come around and like, you're antiquated and you're blah, blah, blah. Oh, that just makes my blood boil and I hate it so much.
It's like, hey guys, do you remember where you were when Keith Sadies was leading missions with the scouts outside the walls? You guys were pissing your diapers, okay? Yeah. Like, yes, maybe he hasn't ever done
you're just gonna crap on him? Like, what is wrong with you?
Dude, I swear it's like Gen Z like canceling boomers. Like they're like the cancel mob is like the Jeagerists and Floch. He's Floch's on Twitter like, oh, this guy's so dumb. Oh gee.
But here's the problem.
But that
the problem
really
is,
bothers me.
if it was just words, I wouldn't be so mad. But the problem is not just words. They take it and they say, okay, guys, who wants to join the actual army? Yeah, the Jeagerists. You guys are actually going to fight. Okay, now you have to beat. You have
the Joker in that scene. He's like, we're having tryouts, and he gives him the pool
sticks. He is the Joker. The way he like smiles afterwards, and he's like, "Come on, Han,
dude, Floch is the Joker.
Take me to Zeke now."
What about?
Or when he does, when he does the whole, what is it?
The weird face thing.
Please use your inside voices now. Like he's just.
Dude, he literally is like the Joker in that scene from Dark Knight, where he's like. Makes them fight to the death or whatever.
So the problem is when they go from words, like you can. That's what I want. I want them to have it out and say, okay, Jeagerists, what do you guys think? Okay, and I'm going to debate you. I'm going to show you with facts and logic and points, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to talk about here's why I think. Here's my debate rebuttal of why I think actually Pixis should be the best leader for these things, right? And we could go back and forth, but instead they say anyone who disagrees with us, we're going to actually beat because you're a symbol of the past. You're antiquated. And so you're going to have to beat your old commander to a pulp in front of me and in front of all these people. Otherwise, you're going to jail. And Keith hits him with the best line of the episode. Mm-hmm. A lot of good ones. But he says, oh, I get it. You finally realize the only way you can get people to listen to you is at the end of a gun, is by using violence to actually get your point across.
Way to drop the verbal bombs.
Straight fascism, bro. People people disagree with you, you beat them until they agree with you. You coerce them with violence. You attack them until you scare everybody else. And that's what Hitler did. He silenced anybody else who was not part of his brown shirts. He sent his brown shirts out to beat and to murder people. And when he got elected, democratically elected by a fraction, because they silenced and they beat everybody else up, the night of the long knives happened, right? And you go and you kill anybody who is an opposing voice.
Yeah, this whole Jeagerists like deal has a lot of those vibes, World War II vibe. You know, the communist, the Bolshevik revolution, all the kind of revolutions of the 20th century. So
Mussolini too, yeah.
Ton of vibes from all of them, and like that's why I know Isayama did this on purpose. Like I can now confirm, like this was on purpose, is to make things like difficult to like make it difficult to just take one side, because it's what we were saying earlier. It's like, well, if these guys have all the information, then they're going to be making the right decisions. And Floch, in a sense, is not Eren. He's not Zeke, so maybe he's kind of acting on his own.
He's a thorn in our side.
He kind of does his own thing anyway. So like, I can see the arguments coming from the other side already, and like, it's valid in a way. Like there's something to be said. Like I said, I know it's on purpose. Like they're intentionally like he like muddies the waters on purpose.
It's nuanced. But
the reason I love it is I'm like that's pretty close to real life in a lot of ways. That's usually how it works, especially in these like times of war, political movements and stuff like that. Like things get gray, and like nobody, like, you know, good and pure people are hard to come by, basically. It's kind of like, like one of the things in the show. I'm like, yeah, that's probably true. Okay. So yeah, he gives his speech. Floch goes to give his speech to the cadets and is like, yeah, beat the leader, beat this, or, you know, what sorry, I want to highlight this part. He says, us Jeagerists are sworn to protect Eldian. Okay, this antiquated military, they're the old ways. Obsolete. You can choose to live alongside Eren, your leader, or you can die with this old man in the old ways.
That's really the only choice. Live or die. No big deal. Which one are you going to choose?
That's not a choice, dude. You can
Jerk.
That's you just being a freaking, yeah. Anyway.
What the flock.
So I'm glad they don't show the beating, because I don't
know if I could have taken it, man.
I've had enough like heartbreak this episode.
There's things about Keith Sadies I didn't like.
Sure, same.
But that dude didn't deserve to get friggin' beat by a bunch of punk suckers.
What a man, though. Like they don't make him like they used to. You know what I mean? He stands up, he's like, these tots.
I feel like he kind of redeemed himself a little bit from his previous blunders.
I'm kind of sad that like not a couple of them are laying on the ground. Like he didn't at least get a couple of them. Like
that's what I was hoping for too. I would like take someone down with you,
kick one of them in the groin, like get one of them in the throat, you know, and like
somebody should at least be partially beat up.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like they had a little bit of blood, and they were like, I'm like, dude, that's it. Like I know a 5-on-1 beating isn't much, but at least get one of them with you. Fish hook somebody. Like fight dirty right
seriously.
Now. You know.
So he says, well done, you know, welcome. And then he's like, all right, you're going to guide us to Zeke, to Hanji. And she like doesn't respond. So they go to this really quick shot. Again, there's got to be a reason for this. It's a quick shot of everybody that's been detained at the, I guess the restaurant is where we last left off. Armin and Mikasa and the gang. They must be in the basement of the restaurant or something. Like
okay. I figured they were already moving towards Shiganshina.
I think they're in the brig of the headquarters where Eren had been kept.
Because Floch is there, which means that Eren and all of them would have.
No. The shot I'm talking about, it cuts away from Floch and the gang and stuff like that. It's Armin and Mikasa and all of them. We don't know exactly where that is. It doesn't say that they're the same.
I think they would have gone with Floch. He said we're moving them, not they're moving them. We're moving them.
I see what you're saying. And so they must be close by.
At the end of the scene, he says, grab Gabi and grab it. We're going.
Right. Yeah, grab everybody. Okay.
I think they're there.
So they're in the basement really quick, and then we get Eren looking pensively out the window. This new man bun, which somebody who just said this in the comments, I was going to highlight this, the comment about Laura Tiber's haircut.
Yeah, the man bun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It totally is.
Also, Keith wanting to be judged. Dang.
Oh. Lurkerpunk saying that Eren was watching them from the window. He's watching the whole Floch thing.
Dang. Yeah, I was pretty sure he was.
What a scumbag.
He is a scumbag. All right, so then the next part we finally get to. So we finally get to the scene with Zeke. He's in the wagon. He's all messed up. He's just in total shambles. He's got the wire around his neck, and he's got the thunder spear in his body.
He's like healing around the thunder spear.
Yeah, it's super weird.
You could play some serious pranks
Levi's
on Titan Shifters.
Beast.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
speaking of psychopaths.
Hey, remember on the last battle, I actually hit some Skittles in your back, bro.
Dude, Titan Shifters make the perfect like stuntmen, like sports, like anything that requires you to like risk injury. They'd
or
be
moving
great
storage containers. Like they can easily become mules. They get drugs in and out.
Oh, drug mules. Yeah.
You
ever? Why do you normally think about this stuff? Or?
Here you go. Yeah, I got it right here.
Okay. So disturbing.
So he's like, I bet you wish Levi's saying to him, I bet you wish you're dead right now. You toy with the lives of these soldiers. did you ever imagine that whimpering would be part of your master plan? And he starts cutting off his legs, and he's like, I gotta cut you into bits so you don't turn into a Titan again. And we see the steam, the whole 9 yards. And Zeke can only get out this one line, where are my glasses? Why are the glasses important? He even says, he's like, you're not going to be needing them. I'm like, what's your problem, bro? I don't know. I'm really searching my brain right now. What could possibly be in the glasses? What is the significance of the glasses? That has to be
like I
tied.
said, when I get my legs chopped off, that's the first thing I think about. Where are my glasses? They must have some sort of significance. Maybe it's only emotional, but I don't know.
And if you can heal everything, you should be able to heal your eyes, which means that you wouldn't
why was
need
he
glasses.
wearing glasses in the first place?
I think it's a foreshadow of obviously it means something or there's something hidden in them. I would think it means something based off of the preview we saw. Which the preview we saw is him playing catch with somebody. And he says...
Yeah, older Asian man with glasses.
Perhaps there's some sort of serum hidden in the frame of the glasses or something.
But I think it's more. I think it's more than that. I think it's sentimental because that Asian guy was wearing those glasses.
Yeah.
And he says, "Mr. Kasaver, I can't. I'm going to be a warrior. I can't play this."
I have a mission.
He said, I can't because I have a mission.
I have a mission. Yeah.
All right. So that gets into that's the end of the episode. That really gets into what we've been talking about before as well, which is we'll just hit this one last point. His mission, we think, is the restorationist mission that was partially formed when he was a child. Mm-hmm. He was a little kid. We went back to season 3 and we watched this because you had said stuff. I was like, I don't remember that, but it wasn't there.
You're both like, what are you talking about? His parents didn't send him in. Yes, they did.
I was dumbfounded. I forgot this entirely. Like, I literally just watched it recently too. But so Grisha, what's her name?
Dina.
Grisha and Dina sent Zeke to be a warrior, right? Before they did, they prepped him. They gave him all this, like, they had him reading books and reading all this stuff, and they're like, remember, everything they're telling you is wrong, but we need you to go there and be obedient to everything that they say.
More than anyone. And so this sort of sets Zeke's character up, and I imagine that's what we're going to get in this next episode. Remember, we haven't watched it yet. We actually don't know. We're going to go watch it right now. We're going to come back and do the next episode. But I think that's where that's headed. I don't know. Do we need to do a prediction section this episode, or do you think we can just call it and go friggin' watch
Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. It may not mean anything, but let's just shoot from the hip.
Let's do some fast predictions. Let's do next episode specifically.
Zeke's long game is one heck of a long game. Whatever it is that he's up to.
Okay,
He's been doing it since he was a child.
Oh yeah, predictions.
Predictions,
you
guys.
off of this part.
Speaking of, if you like the show, we appreciate you guys sticking around. Appreciate the live chat. We're not done yet. But if you like the show, we appreciate you guys going to YouTube, giving us a subscribe, hitting like on our latest video.
Oh, yeah.
And visiting Apple Podcasts, giving us a 5-star review. Those really help.
Also helpful.
But if you're so happy about our content and you appreciate the things that we bring to you guys, Isayama gives and takes away. We only give.
We only give around here. That's right.
Only give.
We would never hurt you guys.
And we want to give you an opportunity
Unlike Isayama.
to wear something that would actually make your day better, to drink from something that could possibly make your life a whole lot better than Floch's.
That's not that high.
It's not
of a bar.
that hard. All right.
Papa Browse? Papa Browse has a pretty fulfilling life.
Yeah, Papa Browse would buy our mugs.
I'm sure he would. Indeed. Armin, they all would. All the good people would buy our mugs.
Check out in the description merch link. You guys can get our awesome logo on one of your mugs, one of our shirts.
More coming.
All different color sizes and different colors. So
also, more coming. So we've been doing, obviously, Attack on Titan. We are very much obviously going to go through the entire show. We are going to be doing more content coming very soon. We're going to do like a reveal video. It's going to be kind of cool. Hopefully it's hilarious. So you'll see all that stuff coming down the pike. So we're not going away. Sunday nights are still going to be a thing. You can always come hang out with us on Sunday nights in the future. So don't forget about all that. Email us your own theories or thoughts. If you're pissed at us, that's a great... Seriously, like, genuinely, we welcome the conversation. Our points are just... They were just saying we're just throwing stuff out there, whether it's the show or like real life stuff. Hit us back. Email us. It's beyondthebasementpodcast@gmail.com. We are wide open to conversation and debate around these parts.
Somebody asked in the comments if we would sing one of the opening songs.
I saw that.
So
Which
actually,
one?
So we used to sing every time before we had a show. Mm-hmm. We would just sing every time because it would sing the song in German and Japanese, and then the lyrics
on screen. So we would just
English,
sing.
and so we would just make up random stuff.
The lyrics aren't on this one. This
the
is season 4.
But
you looked them up though.
There really aren't a whole lot of
we had a great time doing it. So you might get a video like that. We could probably put something together for you guys.
I don't know if the person, if you're, I can't
Should
pronounce
we
the
do
name.
it
I saw it.
seriously or just as completely
I don't know if you've
ridiculous
seen
as possible?
I don't know if you've seen our reaction videos, but you'll see at least some of our singing in the reaction videos. But
It's
just for
true.
you, we should do one where we just go through. We should go all the intros. We should do every intro, mumbles, try and sing our way through it, and post that.
We do it ridiculously karaoke style, but then we also have some cool musical stuff we might want to do that's more serious.
Yeah. My war.
Yeah.
All right.
Predictions.
Quick prediction. Go ahead.
I think Zeke has got something going on. I think maybe that's a decoy. Maybe that is him, but he's got some consciousness tied to. I think maybe another Titan is still alive or something, or regenerating, or something's going to happen.
What if he can make his whole Titan body regenerate and come get him?
I don't know. Nothing like that's ever been done.
The Warhammer Titan can do
Warhammer
whatever the
Titan
frick
did
it
weird
wants to. I
crap,
mean, all
yeah.
the rules make no sense anymore.
Yeah, I
Eren
think-
is a demon. I don't know what's happening.
I think there's something going
He
on
said
with
he
Zeke.
hates Mikasa.
But I think you're right. There's going to be an explosion.
Paul keeps pressing us on this. What do you think Zeke's plan is? I know that that's an important topic.
Dude, doesn't have much time left, so that is a really good question. What the frick
What is his
is he
plan?
even trying to do? I don't even know.
I think his plan is. I've been suggesting this for a while. That Zeke is ultimately self-centered. The beginning of season 4, I kind of got this hunch because he was like clearly like something was off with him when he had that meeting with the rest of the Warriors unit.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I think Zeke is on Team Zeke, right? I think he wants to be. I said initially, I think he wants the founding Titan power for himself, which would explain why he went to Shiganshina, and when he failed, he lost. Like he was there on behalf of Marley, but he was there to do his mission, which I think his mission this whole time has been the same. I think his mission is to acquire the founding Titan power either for himself or to acquire it through Eren, however it is. I don't know. All I know is I think he wants to do the rumbling and he wants to be the man in charge. He wants to be the guy on top. He keeps saying, oh yeah, I only have a year left. Eren just said it. He has more information about the Titans than anybody. I have been a skeptic of the 13-year thing. I understand there's reasons not to be, but I'm saying I think there's a way past that. I think there's a way beyond that. I think there's something more to that. I don't think it's as simple as every Titan, 13 years after that, you die and it goes to some random Eldian child. I don't know. I just have my doubts about that, and I think that if anybody knows the secret to it, Zeke does, and he's playing to that.
I don't think Zeke wants to give up his power.
Yeah, for
I
anything.
don't think so.
I
But
think he wants to be the man in charge.
how could he achieve that? Do you think that Zeke is going to go against Eren at any point? Do you think they're going to fight?
King Ezekiel Grisha Yeager.
Wow. Okay,
Go
here's
monkey,
the thing.
Go Monkey King.
I think that whatever it is that Zeke is planning, which who the heck knows at this point, but what his parents told him right before they sent him off into the warrior program was that he was the only one who could save his
Eldian.
people.
Yeah.
And so I think whatever it is that he's doing, he truly believes that he is the savior of Eldian.
Which is crazy because
And he's thought that since he was a little boy.
Zeke thought that, Reiner thought that, Eren thought that. Everyone thinks they're
Yelena
saving
thinks
the
that
world.
too.
But what is the truth?
Yelena, yeah.
Yelena and her followers almost worship and revere him like a god in a way. And I think, I mean, he definitely has a god complex for sure. There's no way he couldn't have one at this point.
What if Yelena is an Ackermann? We just don't know.
I don't know.
about
I've wondered
No,
that
I think
actually.
she's
It-
the
or
tall people
some
race.
she's either an Ackermann or something like Ackermann's because of I don't know, she just resembles the tall people that were around the Warhammer family. And they were meant to protect them. They were
it. Yeah.
I think we're
the
going to
way
hear about
the
that.
way they spoke about them, it was almost like they were engineered to protect.
Ugh, people
which
being engineered and designed.
Freaks me out a little bit. And she's creepy, and I still want to know. There's one scene that we haven't seen with her in it,
Yeah, where she's got the
her
arms up.
arms up and she's on a wall, and there's exploding airships over her.
Do you have to be Eldian to be a Ackermann? If they're genetically modified, if they're created, couldn't you have created multiple strains?
I would think so. I mean, with superhuman development of any kind, there's always more than one type.
Maybe.
And if it's something given to royal people, it seemed like the Warhammer family were royal of some kind. Maybe they weren't like a king royal, but maybe they were just like nobles or something. But they seem to have a lot of power and influence.
Okay.
Seems like the Attack Titan, the Warhammer Titan, and the King all had some sort of strange, like they were the three most powerful ones. At least that's my perception.
What if we see next episode Zeke is actually undercover. He's actually going to fight against Eren. He actually is the true hero. I couldn't stand it, man.
Zeke being the true... No, dude, Zeke's the true villain.
That would hurt.
No, Zeke's the
if
bad
that's
guy.
what Isayama meant by I'm going to hurt them, like, I'm going to be so mad.
He makes the crazy, nerdy monkey guy be the hero.
That would be
I'd be
the
like, you know
worst.
what? I'm a Jaegerist. Yeah, I'd rather go with the cool guy, the Chad.
Well, I mean,
Right,
if you're a Jaegerist, Zeke is a Jaeger, so the Jaegerist would still come out on top,
Yeah,
no matter if
but-
Eren or Zeke
Yes.
are the
I
ones.
see the
hang on.
Jaegerists losing, for sure.
But Eli is also a Manning, all right? But no one talks about that. It's Peyton Manning. Everybody knows. Okay?
Wow, dude, throwing real shade.
All
The
right,
poor
so
guy.
anyway.
All right, so let's all right, we're going to call it here. We'll be done with this episode. We're going to go watch the other one if you're watching with us live on Twitch. We'll be back in like about an hour
I'm
or
gonna
so. We're
eat
going to take a
an
little break.
egg roll.
Watch this episode. We always watch them twice. We do a reaction one and we watch it a second time through to take notes for the sake of the podcast. So takes about an hour.
See you in a little bit.
Yeah, grab
We
something
will
to eat,
see
grab some
you-
drink, come back. We're going to have a late night party session.
Yeah.
And according to our
I'm gonna drink
viewers,
a lot of coffee
this is a
tomorrow.
really good episode.
This is the episode that pops off.
So we can't wait.
Pumped. All right, let's go. Let's
We'll
go.
see you guys.
All right,
We'll
we
see
love
you
you.
guys.
Peace
We'll
out.
see you in the next one.
Hey guys, thanks again for watching and listening to our show, Beyond the Basement Podcast. If y'all are enjoying it, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or wherever else you listen to our show. Check out the description below for links to our awesome Attack on Titan merchandise. And join us live on Sunday nights on Facebook for all of Season 4. And some of our best content is on YouTube, including me, so go ahead and check that out. And lastly, if you guys have any questions or just want to chat with us, please email us at beyondthebasementpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you guys in the next video.